JANA Duggar chose to wear a short white dress in a recent video, which is a violation of the rigorous modesty regulations that her family has in place. The video was uploaded to JANA's sister Joy-Anna's YouTube channel on Friday, and that is where the moment was filmed. In the latter portion of the film, Joy-Anna, who is 25 years old, highlighted some of the highlights from her mother Michelle's 57th birthday party, which included a number of her sisters. It was observed that JANA, who is 33 years old, was interacting with her younger siblings as she was perched on the edge of the fireplace at one point. As she stood up, she displayed her rather revealing costume, which consisted of a flowy short-sleeved dress that exposed her arms and legs. In addition to wearing her dirty blonde hair down in a straight line, the former TLC star put a broad smile on her face. When JANA wore her clothing, it was shocking to behold because it entirely violated the strict dress code that her father, Jim Bob, had established, which stipulates that women must wear long skirts or dresses. However, Michelle also disobeyed the restrictions on that particular day by wearing a skirt that was knee-length, exposing a significantly greater amount of skin than the guidelines permit. Michelle, who is 58 years old, and Jim Bob, who is 58 years old, are members of the Institute in Basic Life Principles, often known as It'sTRUE. This is an organization that was established by the discredited preacher Bill Gothard, and their children have been investigating it in recent months. In her book, Counting the Cost, which was published earlier this month, their daughter Jill, who is 32 years old, expressed opposition to the beliefs. In her book, Becoming Free Indeed, which was published in January, her older sister Jenner, who is 29 years old, also refers to the church as a cult. Concerns regarding JANA. Jill recently became emotional while discussing JANA, who is the only adult female Duggar sibling who is not married, who continues to reside at their parents' house in Arkansas, and who adheres to the principles of the It'sTRUE. During the question and answer portion of the show, Jill reacted to a fan who inquired about her concern for her sister by saying, "I don't know. I make an effort to avoid interfering too much in the lives of my siblings. I am clueless about where all of them are located." In the following sentence, she continued, "I do not wish to discuss their stories or anything else. I will either let them share their narrative or force them to figure it out on their own. I believe that anyone who has grown up in It'sTRUE can attest to the fact that it is unquestionably a process, and it is one that is extremely challenging to escape and sort through completely." Fans, however, believed that Jill was concealing the genuine concerns that she had over her eldest sister. An individual made the observation in a discussion thread on the internet that it appeared as though she was about to cry while talking about JANA. That is the face of someone who, regardless of what she says, is, in fact, worried about JANA, a different individual stated. In a recent interview with Variety magazine, Jill's cousin Amy, who has also been outspoken about her opposition to the teachings of the International Baccalaureate of Languages, It'sTRUE, expressed her concerns regarding JANA. "I truly hope to the good Lord above that JANA is happy and thriving and working through whatever she's experienced, but I have no contact with her," the 36-year-old woman told the news organization. "Anyone that lives at home with anyone in the It'sTRUE, you're under their control, so I don't know if she's necessarily allowed to." Last single of the sisters. Since March of the previous year, JANA has avoided the public eye and has not made any posts on any of her social media platforms. According to a source who spoke to the United States Sun in January 2021, JANA was eager to leave the house she shared with her family, but she was unable to do so until she got married. JANA is very independent and more alpha compared to her sisters, but she can't get a place of her own until she meets someone her family approves of, according to a confidential source. "It is frowned upon, it is ludicrous, but it has always been the case that the Duggars would not approve with her going out and living alone or living with a friend or partner. Due to the fact that they are so devout, they would not endorse her decision. She wants to fly the nest, but it's hard as she has to find the right guy, which is a goal for all of the girls, and she hates being the last single sister." JANA Duggar, the eldest daughter in the infamous Duggar family, has often been seen as the quiet, reserved one. She's lived much of her life under the watchful eyes of her parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, who are known for their strict adherence to conservative Christian values, particularly when it comes to modesty and the way their children present themselves in public. The Duggar family's reality TV show, 19 Kids and Counting, later Counting On, thrust the family into the public spotlight, with fans and critics alike scrutinizing every detail of their lifestyle. Over the years, JANA Duggar, in particular, has been the subject of much curiosity. While her siblings often find themselves in the midst of media attention for their marriages, pregnancies, and family drama, JANA has remained relatively private. However, a recent video posted on social media has shaken things up, as it shows JANA flaunting her long legs in a short white dress, something that is seen as a rare and significant break from the Duggar family's typically conservative fashion norms. The Duggar family's modesty rules. An overview. Before delving into JANA's fashion choices, it's essential to understand the context of the Duggar family's modesty rules. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar raised their children with a strict set of guidelines when it came to how they dressed, behaved, and interacted with the outside world. One of the most notable aspects of their teachings was the emphasis on modesty, which they interpreted as dressing in a way that would not draw attention to one's physical appearance. For the Duggar girls, this meant wearing long skirts or dresses, avoiding anything too form-fitting, and ensuring that their necklines were high and their sleeves long. The reasoning behind this modest dress code was tied to their religious beliefs, specifically the idea that women should dress modestly to avoid tempting men or distracting others from their inner virtues. While the boys were allowed more freedom with their clothing, the girls were expected to adhere to a strict standard. The Duggar family's approach to modesty was not just about clothing. It extended to behavior as well. Physical affection before marriage was prohibited, and public displays of emotion or intimacy were heavily discouraged. Even the way the Duggar children interacted with members of the opposite sex was restricted, with courtship rather than dating being the norm. This conservative framework shaped not just the Duggar children's social lives but also their identities, both in the public eye and within their family. JANA Duggar, the quiet rebel. JANA Duggar has always been somewhat of an enigma within the Duggar family. As the oldest daughter, she assumed a motherly role to her younger siblings from a very young age, helping with chores, childcare, and day-to-day life. Unlike some of her siblings, who embraced the idea of early marriage and motherhood, JANA has remained single, which has sparked speculation and interest among fans. Some have wondered whether she is secretly rebelling against her family's expectations, while others believe that she simply has not found the right person to court. Despite her seemingly obedient role in the family, JANA has often been seen as someone who toes the line. She has occasionally made subtle statements or taken actions that suggest she is not entirely on board with every aspect of her parents' teachings. This includes her occasional sartorial choices, which, while still in line with the Duggar modesty standards, sometimes hint at a desire to carve out her own identity. In 2023, JANA took a step further toward breaking the mold with a fashion choice that stood out from her typical style. In a video posted on social media, JANA was seen wearing a white dress that, while still modest, was far shorter than the long skirts and dresses typically worn by Duggar women. The dress, which hit above the knee, showcased JANA's long, toned legs, a part of her body that had rarely been displayed in such a way before. For many fans, this was a bold statement and a departure from the conservative clothing choices she had worn for most of her life. Breaking modesty. The significance of JANA's short white dress. The video that garnered attention showed JANA Duggar laughing and smiling, her posture relaxed and confident as she posed in the short white dress. The dress, which featured a modest neckline and flowy silhouette, still adhered to some of the Duggar family's modesty rules. However, the shorter hemline represented a subtle but noticeable break from the family's usual fashion norms. For many who follow the Duggar family, the sight of JANA in a short dress was a revelation. It wasn't just about the dress itself, but the way she carried herself. She seemed to be at ease with her choice, radiating a level of confidence that was rarely seen in the past. Fans were quick to comment on the video, with some praising her for embracing her individuality, and others expressing surprise that she would wear something so daring by Duggar standards. This moment was especially significant given the pressures JANA has faced as the eldest daughter. She has long been expected to adhere to the family's ideals and traditions, yet she has chosen to carve out her own path. The short dress was a symbolic gesture, perhaps signaling that despite her family's strict rules, she was ready to step outside the confines of those expectations, at least in some small way. A symbol of independence. While it's tempting to view JANA Duggar's fashion choice as a dramatic act of rebellion, it's more likely that it represents a desire for personal expression and independence. Throughout the years, JANA has been the subject of constant media speculation, particularly around her unmarried status. There have been numerous rumors about whether she's in a secret relationship, whether she's rebelling against her parents, and whether she's just waiting for the right time to marry. By choosing to wear a shorter dress and share it with the public, JANA may have been signaling that she is taking control of her image and the narrative surrounding her. She is no longer just the quiet, obedient daughter. She is a woman in her own right, capable of making decisions for herself and expressing her personality, even within the constraints of her family's conservative values. JANA's choice to wear a short dress also stands in contrast to the more traditional paths taken by her siblings. Many of her sisters have married young, had children, and embraced the role of homemaker. JANA, on the other hand, has remained single and has focused on her interests, including helping to manage her family's business and pursuing various hobbies, including gardening and interior design. Her decision to dress in a way that expresses her individuality may reflect her ongoing search for personal fulfillment outside the roles that have been assigned to her. As the eldest daughter, JANA has likely spent much of her life being the caregiver and the helper. Choosing to break free from the standard modesty guidelines, even in a small way, could represent her desire to claim some autonomy over her identity. The Duggar family's response: support or reprimand? Given the Duggar family's strict rules on modesty, it is unclear how Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar would respond to JANA's fashion choice. In the past, the family has been vocal about maintaining their conservative values, and any deviation from those values could potentially be met with disapproval. However, there is no indication that JANA's parents have reprimanded her for her decision to wear a short dress. In fact, many fans have speculated that Jim Bob and Michelle might be more lenient with JANA than they were with some of their other children. After all, JANA has been a reliable and responsible daughter who has always put her family first. If she were to make a decision that deviates from the Duggar norms, it might be viewed as an act of independence rather than rebellion. It is also worth noting that JANA has long been known for her gentle, nurturing personality. While she may have chosen to wear a shorter dress, it's likely that she remains committed to her faith and values in other areas of her life. For many followers of the Duggar family, this tension between JANA's personal expression and her family's rules makes her one of the most intriguing figures in the family. What's next for JANA Duggar? JANA Duggar's rare appearance in a short white dress may be a sign of things to come. While she has kept a relatively low profile over the years, it's clear that she is not content to simply live in the shadow of her family's expectations. Whether it's through her fashion choices, her hobbies, or her approach to relationships, JANA appears to be embracing a new chapter in her life, one where she can express herself more freely and assert her independence. In the coming years, it will be interesting to see how JANA's story unfolds. Will she continue to break away from the family's traditional norms, or will she choose to embrace a more conventional path? Will she eventually marry and start her own family, or will she carve out a life that is entirely her own? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: JANA Duggar is no longer content to simply be a passive participant in the Duggar family's narrative. She is ready to take control of her own story. A new era for the Duggar family. JANA Duggar's choice to wear a short white dress in a public video may seem like a small act of rebellion, but in the context of the Duggar family's deeply conservative values, it represents a much larger shift. JANA is no longer just the eldest daughter who dutifully follows her parents' rules. She is a woman in her own right, ready to break